The Trump Dynasty and Statute 6312. I'm Gloria Moraga. This is the Political Woman Podcast. Thanks for being here. I really appreciate you. Please subscribe. Please follow me on TikTok and YouTube. And obviously, please follow the podcast. I'm going to be reading from the ruling against Donald Trump. What ruling, you ask? There have been so many rulings against him lately, and there are going to be more. I'm talking about the Supreme Court of the state of New York. 35-page decision, and it has to do with his New York hotel dynasty. Obviously, I'm not going to read the entire document, just parts of it, enough to explain how this law got Donald Trump. Now, this decision seriously, critically damaging the former president and his real estate empire in New York, an empire that he inherited from his father and from his grandfather. And throughout the years, contrary to his PR and marketing, which is great, it's so great, so many people believe him, millions, he's a big loser. He's lost money and so much more. The law I'm talking about is Executive Law 6312. Now, one of Trump's lies, he's claiming that the law has never been used before. We're going to dive into Statute 6312, and it has been used a lot. The law was enacted nearly 70 years ago when Jacob K. Javits was New York's Attorney General. And since then, it has been like a go-to law for the Attorney General's office in New York. And it has been center of the universe in a wide range of recent civil actions and lawsuits that have actually resulted in hundreds of millions of dollars in settlements. So, New York Attorney General Letitia James' lawsuit is not even Trump's first run-in with this particular statute. Her predecessors employed it in legal actions against Trump for his for-profit venture, Trump University, and his family charity, the Trump Foundation, both of which paid millions of dollars to resolve the cases, and the foundation was dissolved. To the ruling. It's the people of New York versus Donald Trump et al. So it includes his two old kids, the two old boys, the old man, Alan Weisselberg, the man who's already gone to jail for Trump, and another high-ranking Trump business dude, scammer, Jeffrey McConney. And here's how the document begins. After presiding over a non-jury trial that began on October 2nd, 2023, and ended on December 13th, 2023, with closing arguments on January 11th, 2024, this court makes the following findings of fact and conclusions of law and issues this decision and order. Summary. Donald Trump and entities he controls own many valuable properties, including office buildings, hotels, and golf courses. Acquiring and developing such properties required huge amounts of cash. Accordingly, the entities borrowed from banks and other lenders. The lenders required personal guarantees from Donald Trump, which were based on statements of financial condition compiled by accountants that Donald Trump engaged. The accountants created these compilations based on data submitted by the Trump entities. So in order to borrow more and more at lower prices, defendants submitted blatantly false financial data to the accountants, resulting in fraudulent financial statements. When confronted at trial with the statements, defendants, fact and expert witnesses simply denied reality and defendants fail to accept responsibility or to impose internal controls to prevent future recurrences. As detailed herein, this court now finds defendants liable, continues the appointment of an independent monitor, orders the installation of an independent director of compliance, and limits defendants' right to conduct business in New York for a few years. End quote. Wow. So that's the whole enchilada right there. The court finds that they lied about their properties. They got their accountants to lie. When they were confronted with all these lies, instead of saying, oh man, yeah, we did it, they doubled down and said, like Donald Trump has said, Mar-a-Lago's worth 1,000 times more than what they say. Important here, too, is the independent monitor and director of compliance. So not only is Trump hit with that huge fine, which I'll talk about in a sec, he's lost control of running his own company for a couple of years. And it could have been a permanent losing of control, but the judge was prudent in this area, I think, because he wanted to avoid it being overturned on appeal. Plaintiff essentially alleges that 1, the individual defendants, Donald Trump and the whole gang, violated New York Executive Law 6312 by submitting false financial statements to banks and insurance companies to obtain better rates on loans and insurance coverage. And 2, that the holding entities are liable for the individual defendants' misdeeds. Then he says defendants, 1, allege that the statements that they made were completely or substantially correct. So this is Donald Trump saying what he thinks, or his side. And 2, that the borrowers paid back all loans fully and on time. So that's the end of the quote. That kind of gives you the introduction to this case. The amount of money that Donald Trump was fined last week was at least $355 million. The old boy kids, man boys, were fined about $4 million, and the others were also fined. Now, Trump's going to appeal. Yes, that money's huge, but the other issue is that Trump is no longer going to be in charge of his dwindling New York real estate empire. He is going to be unable to do business in New York for 3 years, I think, in a period of time. And he's got these people now that are attached to his company making decisions on what he can and cannot do. And someone was saying after this decision that Trump's never had to answer to people, and it's not going to go well. I'm Gloria Moraga, political woman. Please subscribe, please vote, and be safe.